Welcome. In this video I'm going to be taking a look at this KUHAIMI 4K HD video capture adapter. So this was provided to me by the distributor, but they're not compensating me for this video and they're not reviewing it before I post it. If you find this video helpful and you want to purchase one of these, I'll put a link to it in the description on Amazon, and if you use that link it helps me out a little bit and doesn't cost you anything extra. So let's take a look at the back here. It says specs, HDMI input and loop out support of up to 4K 60 Hz, record preview up to 4K 30 Hz or 1080p 120 Hz. Video capture formats are YUY2, RGB32, NV12, supports Android mobile phone capture, recording and streaming, supports third-party compatible software with UVC and UAC protocol. So UVC and UAC is USB video class and USB audio class. That's the standard protocol used with webcams. So if you have a computer that'll work with a webcam, there's a good chance it'll work with this. Then we also have the dimensions and weight here. And here are the system requirements here. So this will work with Mac and Windows, but it would probably also work with Linux. I would guess even maybe Chromebooks too. Let's get it open. So here's the capture device. Pull the plastic off. Has a sort of futuristic look to it. So on this side we have HDMI in and HDMI out. So in the specs it says it can record 4K 30 FPS, but it can pass through 4K 60 FPS. So you might plug a video game console into the HDMI in. The HDMI out would then go to your TV and it would pass through that full 4K 60 FPS, but then the recording it does would be at 30 FPS. On the other side we have headphones, USB Type-C and microphone. Looks like on the ends we have vents there. We have some rubber feet on the bottom and vents on the bottom. So here we have a USB Type-C to go into the capture device, and then we have USB Type-A to plug into your computer, and this is USB 3. And the cable's around 40 inches. So here we have a manual. Let's take a quick look at it. So here we have the different features. It says it supports third-party software like OBS, Pop Player, VLC, Skype, Zoom, Adobe Flash Media, Live Encoder, VMX, XSplit, Wirecast, and other live stream platform software. So if it works with a USB webcam, it should work with this. On a Mac you could use QuickTime Player to record with it. On a PC you could use the camera app. But those two apps in these are probably just a fraction of what could be used with this. Here's a list of resolutions that are supported. So we have the input resolutions here and what we can record from that. So here we have that 4K 60 and we can record at 4K 30. Here's 2560, 1440, 60 FPS. We can record that at 1080p. We can record it at 1360 by 768. So it lists off the different settings we can use on that. So there's lots of combinations here. Here's a description of the lights. This talks about how to connect and operate it. This talks about how to set up the OBS settings. So OBS is software for streaming. So here it says select 4K USB 3.0 capture. Here it says select custom, select 3840 by 2160, and then select NV12, and then click OK. Then we have the sound settings. So that's something to keep in mind. Oftentimes in software you'll select the video and audio separately, so you'll want to make sure you select this device in the audio. And it looks like it might be called the 4K USB 3.0 capture. Now if you have any confusion as to what this is named in your settings, certainly unplug it and refresh your settings. Look at the different input devices and then plug it back in and see what changed. Usually it pops out at you pretty easy. Now here it says when recording stream with OBS it is recommended to use hardware NVENC or hardware AMD encoding method in order to make reasonable use of computer resources as shown below. Here's some Q&A here. And here's some troubleshooting. Okay, so I'm going to get this set up and then I'll do a demonstration of it. Okay, so I have this hooked up. Unfortunately, I can't easily show this to you, but I have the HDMI coming out of my early 2015 MacBook Pro, and that's going to my tower that is off the side of my bench here. This is the monitor for that tower, and I have the capture device plugged into the back of the PC. Now I'm not using the output of the capture device. I just have my MacBook display set to mirroring. So what I'm seeing on this screen is being mirrored to the HDMI output. I could also have extended the desktop and hooked that up to a second monitor. So here's my Windows desktop. Now I have the resolution on this monitor set to 720p, and that's fine. And the reason I did that is to make it bigger and a little easier to see. So this capture card plugged into the computer appears to the computer as a webcam. So if I go to my device manager and go to cameras, it says 4K USB 3.0 Capture Pro here. So now I'll go down to search and I'll open up the camera app. And here we're seeing video from the capture card. So if I want to capture at 4K, I'll go up to the gear here. And this is photo quality. We'll go down to video quality. And we have that set to 2160p at 30 FPS. So that's 4K UHD. So I'll go here, I'll unpause the video on my Mac. You can see it here. I'll go over here to the right and I'll say take video. So now we're recording. So I'll play that video. So now we're capturing it. Okay. I'll stop the capture. I'll click down here in the bottom right. And here we have the video. So I'll go to see all photos. I forget where this puts it. Let me look. Looks like it put in the camera roll. So I'm actually going to access it from there. So this is 277 megabytes. I'm going to open it up with VLC. So here we have the information on the video. The codec is H.264. Resolution is 3840 by 2160. The frame rate is 29.999238. And then for audio, we have MPEG AAC audio. Sample rate is 48,000 Hertz, 32 bits per sample. So this is a Ryzen 3 desktop. Let me see if I can get my specs up here easily. So this is a Ryzen 3 3300X 4-core processor, 16 gig of RAM. I have a Western Digital NVMe SSD in it. And then for the graphics card, I have Radeon RX 580 series. So if your computer's not great at 4K video, you could also use this with 1080p and 720p. So this is basic usage for capturing. You can also configure this in OBS and use this for streaming. Not only that, you could use this in software like Skype. Let's take a look at that. So I haven't run Skype in a while, so I just opened it up and it's going through its setup. Oh, and it went away here, it looks like. But you can see that the Mac's desktop is showing up here as my webcam. And that looks like that is a live preview. Now, I don't know if this is 4K or if Skype is even capable of 4K. I guess it has webcam settings here. Let's look. So it doesn't really say, but that would be controlled by whatever software you're using. So if you're using Skype or Teams or Zoom, it will just use a lower resolution. I'm guessing it will use the highest resolution that the software is capable of. So I'll import that captured video directly into this video so you can see it natively. Okay, so what you watched was the actual capture. Okay, so this is how I actually had it set up here. I had the HDMI here, plugged into my MacBook. I had the USB here. I plugged this into the USB 3 port of my tower. So it's a very simple setup. I could have also monitored the audio with the headphone jack here and used the microphone port. Now, it's been my experience with capture cards that have audio input. It overlays the microphone audio directly onto the video. So you can record audio this way. My preference would be to plug a microphone in to the computer and then just merge it later. But it depends on what your needs are. So you could certainly test this out and see if it meets your needs. Otherwise, you could plug into your computer directly. So that's the KUHAIMI USB 4K HD video capture card. I found this very easy to set up since it uses HDMI input and USB connection, and it looks like a webcam to the computer, so you don't need special drivers or software. Another nice thing about this is there's probably a very high probability that this will continue to work with new operating system releases, because there's a high probability that those operating systems will support USB webcams. So another thing to mention here is that you could use this also with a device like this. There are many different types of these, but it's a HDMI to composite adapter. So you put composite in here and it converts it to HDMI. This is powered by USB, and you can record legacy devices with something like this. So even this high-tech device that can do 4K can record analog with an adapter. And the reason I bring this up is I found the best analog capture is with a device like this and an HDMI capture device. I found these work better than the ones that have composite to USB directly. There are probably also adapters for VGA and other types. You could also take output from a GoPro or a DSLR that has HDMI out and use those types of cameras as your webcam. So if you have a really nice DSLR or an old GoPro sitting around, you can repurpose those with a device like this. So that's all I'm going to cover in this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. If you like this video, please click like. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, I'd appreciate if you could do that. And thanks for watching. Until next time, goodbye.